famous board meeting that Sequoia organized for all its portfolio companies, of which were one that got quote unquote leaked. It said "R.I.P. Good times." This is October, November 2008.
Basically, immediately after.
Basically saying everybody needs to cut the fat. This looks a lot like 1999. However, what's different is there's a lot of companies creating a lot of value. Buckle down.
It's exactly, and I think that people paid attention. And along the entire chain, I think startups paid attention. I think that VCs got more. I think they got more disciplined with their investments. And for instance, during that period of time, I was at Westheimer Ventures, and we basically decided to only invest in companies which could be cash flow positive with $1 million or less, which was a filter that not many people were thinking about putting on their investments, because of this industry is attractive for many reasons. One of which is that the speculation that's involved in the idea that you might need to take $10 million of investments or more, or $50 million investment before you're producing a lot of cash. And so to think about this industry in the lens of getting cash flow positive with $1 million, it's just a type of discipline and a type of thinking that scenario forced people into, both entrepreneurs and investors, whether it was that specific role or not. And I think that produced just smarter companies, and I think we're better off for it.
I agree, but what do you think about the Twitters and the Facebooks who
well, listen,
you probably would have missed, those. Right?
But of course, Twitter didn't take investment until it had outside of its founders. I mean, it's up to the founders' prerogative. I think that if you're sort of Ev Williams, you've made your money and you can afford to buy back audio or audio and reinvest in this concept that you really believe in, that's sort of entrepreneur's prerogative. It would have been can I speak for Chris Sacca putting in angel money at what point? I'm not sure. But they had a prototype out there. They had some sort of adoption indication that this was interesting. I don't necessarily think that and then by the time they took serious venture capital money, the growth curve was, was predicting this sort of, or you could at least imagine this sort of scale. So. And again, like Foursquare is a great example of that too, where they, Dennis had success, and he and Naveen were able to be very responsible. Almost they could have raised money much before. So I think the investment community was almost we probably would have passed their sniff test too early if they had even pushed it. I think. They were very smart to get it out there, see ramp, and sure, those two companies are examples of companies that aren't looking or aren't heavily monetizing right now. They likely won't be cash flow positive, or Twitter certainly wasn't on its first VC investment. Foursquare might not either. But these are these companies have growth curves that I think allow you to justify sort of other types of investments. The rule that I like to remind people is that we're not all Foursquare and we're not all Twitter, right? And that's not the only way that value is created on the internet. And people, I think, sort of forget that.
Yeah, I think what's unfortunate is those are the ones that those are the exceptions, and people hold on to those because that's the ones they find out about.
But that's part of the dream, It's like when you go into this world, you sign up for the dream. And it just so happens that the dream comes in all sorts of sizes, but like the default sort of the dream, the one that you read most about, is again that one model. So you never read about, or you rarely read about the dream, which is sort of the AnyClip model. And if we are successful, we're going to be sort of much more like, let's say, Zappos, right? And Zappos is a great example where here's an existing sort of struggling company, and which was then taken over by really smart, innovative entrepreneurs that didn't hang out in any garage to get Zappos up and running, but they are they would be considered founders and certainly the main catalysts for its success. So I think that the more you become, I think, a dispassionate observer of the industry, you sort of see that there's lots of stories, there's lots of ways. There's people who work on an idea but don't quit their job for 2 years, and all of a sudden it's the right time. Yeah. I think Yipit's a great sort of example of something that where Jim and Vinny have been like super patient with it, and I really think that it's starting to come into its own. It's a great. I think they're building. I don't know much about their traffic, but it seems to me. I just feel like they must be doing well right now, and it took them some time to figure out exactly what that meant. And I don't think they overinvested in the company before that happened, which makes them smart and makes this industry all the better for it.